Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Costello and I'm a project officer working in the WHS legislation project team. Today I'll be discussing the various duty holders and their corresponding duties under the new Work Health and Safety Act 2020. A PCBU is a new term introduced by the WHS Act and refers to a person conducting a business or undertaking, whether alone or with others, and whether or not for profit or gain. A PCBU can be a sole trader, for example, a self-employed person, each partner within a partnership, a body corporate, an unincorporated association, or a government department of public corporation. There are exceptions, including someone acting in the capacity of an elected member of a local government council, a volunteer association that doesn't employ anyone, or a strata company that doesn't employ anyone and that is responsible for common areas used for residential purposes only. The Act also identifies duty holders involved in specific activities that may have a significant effect on WHS. These activities include the management or control of workplaces, fixtures, fittings, and plant, as well as the design, manufacture, import, and supply of plant, substances, and structures used for work. These people are called upstream duty holders. WHS service providers are PCBUs that provide services to other PCBUs to assist them in compliance with their WHS duties. For example, services which provide testing and analysis of equipment or registered training organizations. The Act also outlines exceptions. For instance, emergency services provided by emergency services personnel, or services which are subject to legal professional privilege. An officer takes its meaning from Section 9 of the Corporations Act 2001, other than each partner within a partnership. Broadly, an officer is a person who makes or participates in making decisions that affect the whole or a substantial part of the organization's activities. This does not include an elected member of a municipal council acting in that capacity, or a minister of a state, territory, or the Commonwealth. The Act purposely provides for a broad definition of worker instead of employee to capture the changing nature of work relationships and to ensure that health and safety protections extend to all types of workers, including contractors, subcontractors, self-employed persons, work experience students, and volunteers, etc. Pursuant to the Act, any other person at the workplace also has WHS duties. Duties of care are imposed on duty holders because they influence one or more of the elements in the performance of work, and in doing so may affect the health and safety of themselves and others. All PCBUs are required to ensure the safety of workers engaged or caused to be engaged by the person, and workers whose activities in carrying out the work are influenced or directed by the person, while the workers are at work in the business or undertaking. This primary duty of care requires duty holders to ensure health and safety by eliminating risk to health and safety. If this is not reasonably practicable, then risks must be minimized so far as reasonably practicable. PCBUs owe a similar duty to other people who may be at risk for work carried out by the business or undertaking. Section 19, subsection 3, provides a non-exhaustive list with which a person must comply to discharge their WHS duties. For instance, the provision and maintenance of safe systems of work, or the provision of training and information. Alternatively, these compliance activities can be carried out by someone else, provided the PCBU actively verifies that the necessary steps have been taken to discharge that duty. The primary duty of care is tied to the work activities, wherever they occur, and is not limited to the confines of a physical workplace. A PCBU with management or control of a workplace must ensure that the workplace and anything arising from the workplace does not put at risk the health and safety of any person. Similarly, a PCBU with management or control of fixtures, fittings, or plant at a workplace must ensure that they do not put the health and safety of any person at risk. A PCBU that installs, erects, or commissions plant or structures must ensure that all workplace activity relating to the plant or structure, including its decommissioning or dismantling, is without risk to health and safety. Designers, manufacturers, installers, constructors, importers, and suppliers of plant, structures, or substances can influence the safety of these products before they are used in the workplace. These upstream duty holders are required to ensure that products are made without risk to health and safety of the people who use them downstream in the product lifecycle. A specific duty of care was also included in the WHS Act to ensure that WHS service providers take appropriate care in the provision of WHS services so that the health and safety of persons is not put at risk as a result of the provision of the WHS services. These risks may occur during the provision of the WHS services or by the conduct of the WHS service provider, or sometime later as a result of reliance on these services. Officers of corporations and other organizations must manage corporate risks, including work health and safety risks. Under the WHS Act, an officer of a PCBU must exercise due diligence to ensure that the PCBU complies with its health and safety duties. This duty relates to the strategic, structural, policy, and key resourcing decisions. That is, how the place is run. Due diligence includes, for example, taking reasonable steps to acquire and keep up-to-date knowledge on work health and safety matters, to understand the nature and operations of the work and associated hazards and risks, and to ensure the PCBU has and uses the appropriate resources and processes to eliminate or minimize risks to work health and safety. While at work, workers must take reasonable care for their own health and safety and that of others who may be affected by their actions or omissions. They must also comply, so far as they are reasonably able, with any reasonable instruction given by the PCBU to allow the PCBU to comply with work health and safety laws. They must also cooperate with any reasonable policy or procedure of the PCBU relating to health and safety at the workplace that has been notified to workers. Any other person at a workplace, whether or not that person has another duty under this part, has the same duty of care for their own health and safety and that of others, and to comply with any instructions given by the PCBU. The Act requires duty holders with shared responsibilities to work together to make sure that someone does what is needed. For example, there may be a number of different duty holders involved in influencing how work is carried out. If more than one person has a health or safety duty in relation to the same matter, they must consult, cooperate, and coordinate activities in relation to the matter. Each must share the health and safety related information in a timely manner and cooperate to meet their shared health and safety obligations. Each PCBU must consult with workers and health and safety representatives, if any, about matters that directly affect them. This duty extends to consulting with all kinds of workers, not just the PCBU's own employees, including any contractors and their workers, employees of labor hire companies, students on work experience, apprentices, and trainees. Duties under the Act are non-transferable. A person can have more than one duty, and more than one person can concurrently have the same duty. In closing, a reminder to please keep in touch by subscribing to our newsletter or following us on LinkedIn or Twitter for further information.